Hey y'all, it's Renegayde, and it's time to spill Reali-Tea on all things Drag Race Philippines Slaysian Royale. The Ultimate Battle Royale is officially on, so make sure you like and subscribe for more, as you're not going to want to miss a single drop of content this season. On this episode, our Slaysian Queens of the world unite for their girl group challenge, and let me say, that was definitely a challenge. But before we begin, let me introduce my co-host. And we definitely had to keep changing the choreography so much because he kept effing it up. It's QuackrrJack.
Mabuhay!
Jack.
I didn't mess up for you at all.
I mean, you kind of did, but we'll never know because there is no footage to actually go behind it. And that's kind of on topic here, because I was gonna say, how was your feelings kind of overall on the second episode? Because there were some, I think slight issues, maybe like in the editing department the first episode, but I'm not sure how I feel about some technicalities that are happening, and not just the technicalities, but maybe just I feel like a lot of the shortcomings of this season possibly just kind of showed themselves very quickly on this episode. I'd say it's not enjoyable.
Well, this is really fun because we just went from what we had last week not being so much about their performance, but being so much about like who they are and what their type of drag is, to now like, let's see what you can do when you perform. And so it's such a difference in, I guess, a difference in like what kind of drag we are getting this week. And you know what? I will say one thing. The songs in Philippine Drag Race do always deliver in their performances, and I really have to like commend this drag race specifically. Somehow this drag race like international season is always killing it with the songs and performances. So I was happy with the performance. It did feel like the first half of the performance was a little bit of our warm up, shall we say, and then the real group came out. I think no one's really gonna fight that one.
The opening act versus the real act, yeah, that
It was
definitely
very
did
that.
happen here. And I do think that's kind of one of the flaws of the show that maybe we kind of talked about preseason that kind of might be, seeking through a little bit. I don't know if it's ruining the enjoyability of the season for me just yet. I'm still enjoying the season. It is still early though, and you know how growing pains kind of happen. All Stars 10, unfortunately, fresh on our minds for everybody, is a very great experience or a great example of a season that starts out amazing and then the producers get their hands on it and it turns into that. So I'm really hoping we're not on a trajectory for that. But I want to kind of talk a little bit more, just more specifically about the actual editing of the show, because there were a couple of times where we kind of had to rewind things back because I feel like maybe they're cutting things in weird places, and I feel like their choices of how they're actually utilizing their time don't feel like they're really being productive, I guess, with it. Like, especially like there was a few times where we noticed a lot of editing mistakes. Like there was a lot of editing mistakes in the first episode. I caught quite a few in the second episode, and then there was like again weird choices where they're cutting the dialogue, like the whole something Wong and Yuha fight kind of went out of nowhere, and then it just kind of escalated out of nowhere too. Like we get like f bombs being dropped, and we're just like, whoa, like we y'all just entered the workroom like 2 seconds ago being so happy. Like, when did this even happen? Like, we had to go back to even be like, okay, well, did Yuha say something? And we don't know based off of the edit. I mean, something is responding to something somebody is saying, but like, I don't even think Yuha knows that it was directed towards her. So it was just like, that was just really weird. And I'm just like, something is definitely wrong with this editing. Um, do you agree with me, Jack, or am I just kind of expecting too much?
No, I agree with you. It really feels like one of those, if you're not watching Untucked, you're only getting half the story, except that we were watching Untucked and I still only got half the story. So I'm like, what's going on here? Because out of nowhere, I mean, we did see that Something Wong had a lot of frustrations and she really didn't want to be the choreo captain, but ended up having to be. And in the situation you're talking about, when they get back into the workroom for the next day or whatever doing their makeup, it's like all out of nowhere. She kind of explodes on Yuha, and Yuha's like obviously like going back and forth with her, and they're like having this fight before they even do the performance. I'm like, this is just not good, you know? This is not going to end well. It never does.
I also thought it was funny too that got so much time with the international girls in like the practice round, right? And then we get like 2 seconds of the Filipina girls be like, "We're just all having fun here," because literally they're literally just having a great time on stage. That's all they're doing at this moment. Um, and I do have to think I kind of wonder was this kind of a mistake for them to kind of blatantly allow them to split apart into it being, the Filipina girls versus the international girls? Because I mean, once the teams were decided, it was like, okay, well, which three of the international girls are going to be on the bottom of this episode? um, I it felt a little cringe, just based off of a lot of things with how we talked about the fact that these international girls don't have the same kind of track record, and it's just we know they're kind of there for filler in some degrees, but like this felt a little like they could have at least split them up into maybe like smaller groups. You know what I mean? Like we were talking about before. Yeah, they could have got away with probably doing the same bottoms anyway. But I don't know. I felt a little type of way about them doing it, how they did it.
After seeing the result, I was very happy the way they did it. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm good with this. And I'm gonna tell you, I agree that it was weird that we had the Philippine Queens versus everyone else, So we've now seen like this big division, right? That I think is underlying, and we already knew it was going to be there anyway. So it's nothing that we weren't expecting, but to see it so blatantly like this was crazy because Kiana does win the mini challenge, gets to pick the teams. She picks all the Filipina queens, and I'm like, oh, but I'm actually kind of I don't blame her in the slightest because if I have to tell you what, the only girl that I was considering picking that wasn't a Filipina queen would have been CM. Especially after the first episode, I just feel like there was a lot shown, and it's her choice to make. So like, I don't think production should get in the way of that specifically. If they want to do that, then they shouldn't have given her the option. But I think maybe they were hoping, based on her last choice of not trying to screw over one of the international girls, they maybe thought she would play more so a little fair. But if I was Kiana, I would have done the exact same thing, and I think she did it all right.
I mean, I don't blame her for doing it. Don't get me wrong here at all. I am not blaming her for doing it. It was just one of those moments where you're just kind of like, oof. Well, yeah, I mean, that was direction the season's kind of going to go anyway, so let's just put the writing on the wall, y'all. You international girly, you probably are not getting any higher than like third or fourth place. But in the same vein, though, too, like, did they really have any drag art worth protecting tonight? Because, like, Brazil
Yes.
2, which just had their, girl groups earlier this season, and we're going to do a mid-season dive into Brazil 2, especially after this last episode. I think it needs to be talked about. Like, Brazil 2, I think, gave us one of the worst girl groups of all time, right? And now I'm looking at it like, okay, was that one of the worst girl groups of all time because they actually did that terrible? Or was it like one of the worst girl groups of all time just because of the fall? Because we get to the international girls here, and wow, this has got to be one of the most cringe-worthy performances in a girl group I think we've seen in a very long time, possibly ever. Like, I can't think of I can think of individual moments here and there, but like as a complete group, oh my god, like that. I'm still kind of shocked and still kind of speechless by how bad they were. Like, I think initially, like some team felt like she was kind of in it and in the choreo, but then there was like I don't know what happened to her. Like halfway through it, like she caught the same disease that everybody else in their team was on, and she just like maybe they all just caught COVID. Maybe that's what it was because they all started to just like lose energy, like from the moment the song had or started to the moment that it ended. So it was just like it was just very very awkward, very very cringe. Ow. How do you possibly rebound other than like maybe Suki and CM, who I think were probably the only two who were in their like little corner doing like the right thing. Everybody else in the group, I think it's pretty clear like those are the next four boots.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. This performance was pretty rough, but I want to say that this group did the worst out of all time kind of thing because
Oh, it was
two
bad,
things.
girl.
It was bad, but was it as bad as some groups? No, because I remember there have been times where RuPaul has gotten so upset with what's going on. Like, don't forget the UK, where she's like, I don't want to see a goddamn H&M kind of thing, and she was really not
That wasn't
happy
a
with that
girl
performance.
group though, really. Was it?
No, it was, yeah, it was good. It was a
Oh,
girl
it was
group because it
that
was
well that was more the
4-4.
outfit that wasn't necessarily with the actual like
But
talent
she
that
didn't
was
like her
brought to
lyrics
it.
either. When Joe Black was going there, she was like, I'm
I
mad
need to
at
go
you."
back and rewatch UK2, but
And
I'll take your word
Tia
for it.
was messy, and the group was a mess overall. Um,
I don't know.
but
I think you're
then,
explaining away and giving them too much credit here now,
well,
Jack.
I'm
Like
not trying to give
this
them
was
any credit.
bad. This was
I just
horrible.
Here's my second point though. I think the problem is they're not a group, and it was very telling of this fight that happened with Yuha and Something Wong. I really think what happened was Something really just hit her limit because she was saying that a bunch of the girls couldn't do the choreo, and the choreo that they ended up with was like ABC's "Let's do like the dance at the kindergarten with us." And it's not that it was necessarily going to be bad, but there was a lack of energy going on with everyone. And then the only people who were really in it were like CM, and then we had people who just didn't have their face ready, like Something, and Ivory was a mess. She was trying to figure out what she was supposed to be doing. Kitty was so far in the back we didn't see her. She doesn't really have that presence on the stage that we needed. Suki was trying to do it well. CM was like in it to win it. And then it was just like everything else is like, okay, well, we're
There's
here.
somebody else there too, and you didn't list their name either, and I can't remember their name off the top of my head either. And I'm like, who are we
You're
forgetting?
asking me to talk about who? Ivory Glaze, Kitty Space, Something Wrong, Yua, and CM and
Suki. Okay,
Suki.
no, okay, we got it
Yeah.
all. Oh, I forgot
I said
Yuha. I forgot Yuha.
okay.
Personally.
Yuha was in the back, and I just something
Actually,
wasn't
I
really.
said that during the judging too. I was like, I legitimately forgot Yuha was in this group because other than like the part where she had her little solo moment, I don't remember her at all throughout the rest of the performance whatsoever.
I I feel like during that performance part with her, it was just it didn't. You know what it was? The group didn't feel cohesive from the beginning. Like even just the way they looked, I didn't feel a cohesion. Like yeah, they were trying to do like the similar colors, but it wasn't giving that really. And then we got to the point of them actually performing, and the cohesion just didn't show up. They didn't feel like a girl group. And then right afterwards, we have the Filipina Queens come out. Their team, they were called P Nice, and it was like night and day because these girls were ready, they were prepared, and I was like, I don't know if it's just because they're all used to working with each other. I don't know if it's because they're all just used to these kind of performances and doing choreography, and maybe the other girls weren't. But not a damn one of them did a bad job. They were all ready. They all were prepared. They had it together. And looking at the other group, I was like, does anyone know the actual choreography? And Yuha said it was because they had to keep switching the choreography because something always wanted something different. But it didn't seem like anyone in that group could do any choreography, to be fair to something
Yeah,
wrong.
I
Like, I
both
don't, I think
agree
this
with
is a,
something and also understand why the girls probably were annoyed with her, but I also think it's a situation where it's like they're just clashing personalities. But I also think when it comes down to it, I don't think any of them really clearly had the skill to either one choreograph something that was easily accessible to everybody, right? Or two, even
mhm.
the skills in choreography to begin with to really slay a number that they needed to even like stand a chance against an all Filipina queen group because like that was
Well,
just
I mean, and
I,
honestly, I don't even know if they wanted to try to do it. It kind of felt like they were just going to be like, well, I can't do that move, so let's scrap it and do something else. Instead of like really trying it, they were just like, I don't want to do that because I don't want to try it. Like it really felt
mhm.
like that when we were watching them on stage during the rehearsal. So I don't know. Clearly we saw what happened. The results were in, baby. The whole other team was safe for high, and this team was in shambles. you know.
And I think that's what makes the runway question even a little bit more like weird too. Just because I think that was the only other weird moment when they were asking them, were like who sabotaged your group, or who you got rid of from your group, or like who made things the most difficult. And it's like all the Filipinos like, no, we all got along, we had a good time, because they did. Like they weren't really faced with that much of a challenge here, so of course they're just gonna be chilling. Whereas, like, you do have Yuha and Ivory, who have been the bottom with Something, who go after Something immediately, and it's like, okay, well, as much as it's one of those things too, where it's like, this is episode one. I didn't necessarily want her in the bottom two. I could understand why I probably would have put somebody else there, episode one. Episode two, again, it's another situation where it's like, I hate it because I feel like she did step up. She did try. She was clearly trying to put effort into the challenge more so than I think a lot of the other girls were. But she does kind of get a situation where, like, yeah, she herself didn't even perform that well, unfortunately, with her own choreo. So it's like, I want to fight for you Something, but I'm like, I can't. I don't think I could do it. So, like, I think I understand the bottoms, the tops. Yeah, I'm not that upset with them going with Arizona, Brigading, and Phineas, with ultimately Arizona and Phineas being the top two. Um, did you have any discrepancy with the tops and the bottoms this week, Jack?
Yeah, I really did. I was like, I think okay. My big issue was we have this girl group, the five, all do a great job. I think the only person on the other team that could have gotten there was CM. So I was like, okay, CM is not in there because their group lost. It was bad. Okay, sure, fine. And I just didn't feel like I felt like Arizona really deserved in the top. I really felt like we could have given that space to either um, Bernie or Kiana, and I think I would edge out Kiana just because when she was doing like her rap part, I was like, oh shit. But at the same time, maybe it comes down to a thing where the other girls weren't expected to step as much as Kiana and Bernie, because I think we all kind of expected those two to do extremely well in this. Not that we expected any of the Filipino queens to do poorly, but I think those two we already knew, like, oh, they're safe for sure. Like, they can kill it. And I just felt like they both did a really good job. I could have seen them in the top. I mean, we had like five tops last week. We might as well put everyone in the top again. Just give them praise. Maybe they didn't want to do that to not feel that like Philippine versus international waters more, but I was very happy with like Venus being in the top. I think she really earned her spot there. I think Brigadine did a good job, so like I can see her in the top. I felt like for me, Arizona was one of the weaker girls of that group, only because I didn't remember her more. But it could be the fact that she kind of blended in, and like I want to say that Kiana and Venus specifically like stuck out just because they were the only two without actual blonde hair on as well. Like, I mean, and technically, Bernie had yellow hair. So maybe it was just the fact that Brigadine and uh, Arizona looked so similar. But everyone did a good job. So it's not really a big deal at the end of the day. And I get to see Venus in the top two, and I think she totally deserved this. She did such a great job. And then her runway was fantastic.
I was gonna say, I don't think it was necessarily based off the runways, because based off of, I think, the rankings here, like, Keanu and Bernie probably had two of the better runways of the week compared to everybody else, but, it is what it is. But, let's go ahead and, since you kind of brought it up, Jeff, let's just jump into the runways here, for our Yes or Mess segment. And this week, our category is Tech Couture. And there were some great, great runways here, and I'd probably say one really horrible one.
One, very unacceptable. Definitely why she was in the bottom for more reasons than not. Shocked if the other girl wasn't in the bottom because just because her runway was so bad, she had to kick her out of the bottom two placement. you know.
So for real though, I mean, and that girl is clearly Yuhua, because what even is this? Like, she's gonna say it's bootleg, and I'm threatened to say other words here that might get me demonetized, but we're not gonna do that.
This Mama, this was trash. This was garbage. She was like, "Oh, I am a robot," and I was like, Um, no, no, you're not. And also, you're the only thing about her that screamed robot was the two pieces of wire she had coming out of her headpiece that
Dare
were
I
like literally
say,
just out of her wig.
dare I say this is even worse than Bob the Drag Queen's bodysuit. Like, this is this is bad. Like, this is not good at all. There's no sense to it. It's basic AF. It clearly is something she pulled out of her wardrobe to fit the theme. And I've been waiting for us to get oh, I paid this designer for this look, and then us to get some look that didn't show up the way it was supposed to, and get a whole other like Acid Betty feud going on here. With you
Where
all, like, like I
she came up
was
with that
expecting.
excuse on the stage, and I was like, "Girl, I don't want to hear it." The girls were even like that's a great concept, but unfortunately, you have on what we have to judge." And that was the nicest way that I think Maxi could really say it to her. I think it was Maxi who said that, and I was like, "I agree. Like, unfortunately, we can't judge you on what your concept was." But Yuha, like, I will say one thing about Yuha is she did tell them, "Yes, I look a mess. I know, girls. I'm so sorry." And at least she knew, and she knew she was the fool, right? In this moment, I would say our other bottom kind of placements here, though, since we have to, let's just talk about the messes. Something Wong had this like bodysuit with all these extra hands. It was a play on the AI and how sometimes it messes up with limbs and fingers and such things. And it was fun. It was, I mean, we all understood it. It just wasn't. It wasn't next to everything else. It just didn't stack up. And
Right.
I would say Kitty Space just felt very. It felt very meh, like middle of the road. It was so boring. She had carousels on her shoulders. They didn't even look like they were moving, and her hat like filled up with a little bit of air to like release more of the clown look on top. But this drag just felt super uninspired to me. I didn't get anything from it. I was not
Now,
living.
to be fair, you would be living if you saw this on like season 5 US and someone pops out and she pulled up her hair and it inflated. You'd be like, "Oh my god, girl, her head inflated."
Uh,
But like for now, yeah,
if you're gonna do an
it's not
inflation
elevated
thing,
enough. And if she's gonna come out here with these like the carousels on the thing, like if they're moving, we couldn't tell. So like
yeah, they were moving too slow.
it
Like,
needed it needs a little more oomph,
and
a little bit
I think
more. Eh,
it felt like if you're gonna do an inflation thing, it has to be more noticeable. Like the headpiece is noticeable, but the other part I think was inflated, and I was like, but I didn't even get that from you. Like I didn't really see it, but it's not a bad look. I would still say it's like bottom of the barrel scraping kind of thing though for this runway. And I think one thing that we saw is really common. We had quite a few girls do this. We had Arizona Brandy, we had Ivory Glaze, and we had Suki Doll. I know all had these. I don't know if you'd call them like florets or little flowers or whatever. They were just like kind of spinning in circles, which was cool. It was, it was nice. It was beautiful. I mean, the problem was Ivory Glazes just felt like it was put on a dress that was black and white and had different white patterns all over, and it just felt like it was mismatched on purpose. But there was no real like. It didn't feel like it was purposely mismatched, other than us knowing who she is. So I just felt like her drag didn't feel like it was complete. When we get to Arizona Brandy's, it was like, oh, this is really fun. There's like these horns sticking out of her body, and her hair is good. There's nothing going on below her hips, and the shoe does not match. It was very strange. It was very strange. I didn't really like it, but I guess of all of them, we agreed that Suki Doll did the best. I mean, she had these nice flowy tulle going on. She had so much shape here. And yes, at first I didn't know if she had anything mechanical on her, and technically she does. It's just it felt like if there was going to be more tech to it, but either way, I can forgive that completely because bitch, she looked so good. This is the most like yes of the girls that I ranked a little bit lower. Suki's right in the middle though, only because the runway is tech couture, right? And I know you really liked her. I think you put her what, fourth, fifth?
I had her fifth. I only had Brigadine below her just because I really like Brigadine's look. I think those were probably the only two I think we had switched. I
Yeah,
get why you had her higher, just because she did have a lot more like obvious tech in comparison to Suki, and I know you really liked the fabric in the gown a little bit more, I think. But I don't know the way that Suki just came out on the runway, she sold it for me, and like I don't know, she looks so good.
I
It's like a barely like they're literally like honestly, I would say for me, I think Suki, the top six, I think are on the same tier. Maybe like
yeah,
one slightly higher.
Suki would
The
probably
top
be
six
first
for me were
place,
really good.
honestly. If the category was not tech couture and it was something else, or she just felt like she completely fit in everything, she would be the number one for sure. Like she just looks so gorgeous. Everything is so beautiful. I have nothing bad to say about her. It's just the category, right? And when we look at Brigadine, you mentioned it, the gown. It's rather simple. She has this black feather boa that's really long with a little cape thing, and the asymmetrical, like going up one shoulder from the breastplate kind of thing. It really adds an element, and her headpiece is tilted and has feathers going up and down on it. It's very beautiful. My favorite thing about this, though, was specifically this material is very hard to use because it kind of looks like a wrinkled candy bar wrapper or something when it's used incorrectly. But instead, they actually went in on how it bunches like this and can look that way, and they use that as a part of it, and that's why I ranked her highly. But honestly, it doesn't matter. Like they were so close, I don't really care about that. But that leads me to our number four, the girl who I don't think anyone saw coming into a fashion moment here was Venus Deluxe. Here she has on this amazing, like, just green netting straight up from the shores, fishing with this net kind of thing. And she's got on this beautiful, like, black hair, and she's just, holding this platter of fishes until she throws it out. The platter is actually a hat that you would see on fishers, like from a smaller village or something like that. And all of the fish that are wrapped around her in the net start to like move all about because they're like those little fishes with the batteries in them, and they just move randomly. And it's just so funny, and it was so fashion because like imagine a girl really making a dress out of like only the things she has kind of thing. She looks beautiful. It was so funny. She presented it so well. Just such a good night for Venus Deluxe, and I love to see this glow up for a girl who, she, don't forget, she's the girl who quote unquote placed the lowest out of all the Filipina girls. For her to have this moment, she's in the top two. She has a good runway. She did well in the song. Like, this is so important to her because she's never been in the top for something. So she wanted this. And
This
then
was a huge week for Venus, and I feel like this could possibly put her in the running for maybe that. Um, we were talking about like maybe one of the girls who maybe placed a little bit lower is going to get a redemption. Maybe it's
mhm,
Venus. They also could maybe
I
be doing that thing that they give her an early win and then axe her somewhat afterwards too. I hope that's not her direction because I feel like she's been on the glow up versus the other way around. But um, yeah, great week, great week for Venus.
Yeah, and let's move on to our top three yeses of the week. This is so good. Bernie comes in here, this amazing headpiece of all these beautiful white butterflies with these small yellow details on the wings, and her whole outfit is constructed of butterfly wings that represent the wings of the butterflies on her head. Everything is matching. And then the butterfly wings all around her dress start to go up and down. Like they're just little wings, like slowly just floating in the air like a little butterfly. And we're like, she really has blossomed into this beautiful, strong, like drag queen. I mean, she was already that on her season, but like she has really elevated. Like she was known for her great runways on her season. And I feel like now that she's had more exposure and more money, you're like seeing her style really come out and really flourish. And you're just like so excited for this. She looks amazing. everything in white. She's beauty, like the house down kind of thing, right? Like there's nothing bad. It's
Right,
so
and that's
good.
why another reason why I was kind of shocked that she didn't even at least get like a high placement because I'm like she did really well I thought all the way around and she's been looking really good like she deserves a
Oh
shout
yeah,
out but you know she's now the only Filipina girl that hasn't had a critique yet on the runway. I'm a little worried for Bernie, I won't lie.
little worried. Yeah. But taking it to the opposite direction of the white spectrum, we have Kiana in a full white outfit, and it looks like electricity, and like everything is just flowing through her with these flowers, and it's actually just like these flower strands and things like all wrapped around her body, and you just see them moving and lighting up and whatnot, and there's all these different like just moving parts of it, and it's so fierce. She has this random collar around her, and her eye contacts are white. Like it's such a good look. There's a headpiece on the back on top of her wig, and I mean, if I had to critique anything, I would just maybe wish that we had a little bit more on the hips to cover up the panty, and maybe the shoes couldn't be silver. But the silver shoes worked because it was a technology thing, and some of the accents of the buttons and the small things on her are silver, so I can kind of see it working. I would have maybe preferred a white shoe or something like that. But it was just so inventive. It was something we didn't think about seeing, I think, on this runway
I think a
for
lot of
this
it too
kind
is
of
the
thing.
fact that the way that the flowers kind of moved. They move more like
Mhm.
tentacles than like just kind of like up and
Yeah.
down or like there's more like a flow to them than a lot of the other girls had in their outfits. So like that's what kind of made it come alive, that like alien-esque kind of quality to it. And that's why I was like, okay, the focus here isn't meant to be necessarily 100% on the outfit, I feel like, because if she had more to the outfit, then it might take away from the actual tech aspects to it, especially with white, because you can get kind of drowned out on the stage, especially. So, like, I don't hate any of the choices she made here. I thought this was absolutely stunting. It could have been number one until I feel like we had a flashback to the All Star 7 All Glowed Up runway, which I think is one of my favorite runways to date. And I still remember being like so kind of shocked and confused when they all started coming out at first and like the lights were out, right? And then bam, the lights turned on the outfits. You're like, ooh, like this runway is like top tier. Well, guess who gave us that moment tonight? CM. She is owning this runway, I think, without a doubt. Like, oh my God, Jack, right? Like, CM for
There,
sure, number one.
there's just first of all, she has another gorgeous headpiece. It's just so traditional. She's dripping jewels in the face. She has it around her eyes, on her lips, everywhere. But here's the thing. We didn't even know what was on her face because her face is covered by a lotus flower that slowly begins to show as its petals come down one by one and revealing her beauty and revealing her face. She has such a very captivating but a very fierce kind of like moment in her face because you're like, oh, it makes you feel something because you're like, is it beauty? Is it horror? It's a little of both almost. And it almost seems as though her head is trapped in this lotus, but in fact, she's the middle of the lotus. The lotus comes out, and then you notice that the rest of her outfit is made of what looks like pieces of lotus flowers. And it was just so amazing to see this happen, and it just felt like it was so natural for her. And I don't know, something. Oh my god, this was one of the best moments. I audibly gasped when I was watching this. Like I could not take my eyes off of this. I went back and watched it again. So many beautiful things here. It was so beautiful. And the funny part, the white to the pink kind of thing in this lotus, I was like, notice how all of our girls in the top three, like, all had some, like, really white fabric kind of thing to really show off their technology and stuff. And I don't know, maybe that was just a great choice for them. Maybe that was an easy way to go. I don't know. But almost everyone, and including Suki Doll, had, like, almost full white outfits, right? Like,
Why has
it's
it got to be
crazy.
white though, Jack? Why?
Um, I
Why?
don't know. Maybe it's for the lighting and the tag. It's beautiful.
Which is
CM
funny
is
because
just
like their first white runway when they did like the entrance looks, I don't know if it was like because they had like maybe like a filter on or something, or maybe the background lighting was like that like purplish like I don't know, like it would like drown them all out, but like this color, whatever they did for this runway really worked. And I think they also did kind of play into certain people giving them like CM allowing her to have the lights go down so she could really focus on her outfit kind of thing, you know? So
yeah.
maybe they were just learning on the
I don't know.
presentation department.
It's once again just giving us such a beautiful like her just showing off culture once again, and her just really showing off how beautiful and how elevated her drag has become. And it's such a great thing to see because we talked about having like a glow up story. If if it's not if it's not CM having it, it's Venus. If it's not Venus, it's CM. Like maybe it's both of them. I have high expectations for them now because they both raised the bar so high. But CM here just has wowed me on this runway. I think she is one of the fashion queens of the world. I can't wait to see what else we're gonna see from her. She has me gobsmacked. I can't wait to see more.
Yeah, she's literally had like top two, I think, every runaway so far. Either her or Kiana right now, I think, have been
Yeah,
the fashion girlies this season. So I'm very excited to see what else we get, especially because we just got like the Tech Couture one, right? So it's like,
yeah.
what else we got here, y'all? What else we got? So that brings us to our top two of the week again was Arizona Brandy and Venus Deluxe, and they lip sync to XL by Sylvie. Um, never heard of Sylvie, never heard of XL. It was a fine lip sync though. I think Venus had a lot more of my attention most of the time. I think Arizona probably went a little bit more comedy than I kind of
Hmm.
personally enjoy. You know, I get her style, but you know, I'm exhausted after Ginger. She's made me exhausted for comedy lip syncs. I need a little bit more seriousness and like you know.
Well, and
Never
Venus
mind.
was
I'm gonna
really
save my other opinion there for Brazil too for that.
oh yes, yes, yes.
You
That's
know.
yeah, because that also influenced us. But I think Venus was a little scattered at first. Her energy was definitely getting the better of her, but she was really trying to focus it in and harness it, and you could feel that from her. I think Arizona started to get a little repetitive, but in the last 15 seconds of the song, that's when I really was like, "Oh my God, Venus just captured everything." Like
The reveal, right?
it was the reveal, it was Venus just doing these moves. She really like it was just so captivating, and what she did was just like she took our breath away. She immediately made it hers, and in that moment, that was the time when we were both like, "She has won this lip sync." Because I remember telling you, I was like, "I think Arizona might be winning this lip sync. I'm not really sure," and especially with the way it feels like there was that buildup of Kiana versus Arizona a little bit, but then last second, Venus basically like has a Hail Mary kind of thing and ends up snatching this win, and we all knew she was going to win it after this, and it was like, wow, she has really like this is her glow up moment. Not only did she win the lip sync, she gets a badge. This is the first time she's ever won a challenge. So not only was she in the top for the first time, she won a challenge, baby. This is the glow up we were so excited for.
And you know what else she snatched here? She snatched away some Ting Wong spot in the competition because she sends her home over Ivory Glades, and I'm feeling some type of way about it. If I could be honest, I think something had a lot more to show than I think a lot more of these other international girls that we've seen.
I
I just
agree.
don't know if I feel like the first two challenges were necessarily in her wheelhouse. Like I feel like you put her in well, okay, she probably wouldn't do well in this design challenge coming up either. So yeah, she probably
Well,
was gonna be doomed to go out here early. But that still doesn't change the fact that I still would kind of rather see something in the competition. I think we've kind of already established we're slightly biased for something for whatever reason.
yeah,
But she is kind of charming to me, and I feel her
very
frustration.
charismatic.
Like I feel her anger, you know, when she you go into it, you're expecting something, it doesn't go the way that you expect it to. I also don't really. I feels like there's an air around her specifically with this edit that I don't know if we're getting the full story either. You know,
Yeah, I don't
because
think we are.
the
It
first
feels very
episode we had that
honest.
weird story with Kiana, with the lipstick, and now this episode, it's just I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, like how do we go from a weird lipstick, like I'm picking the girl who has energy, hasn't been off in the workroom, and they showed us in the edit, it seemed like it was something wrong, but then she ended up picking out um the other
Madame
queen, and we were all
Yoko.
like, "What?" When Madame Yoko went home, we were all like, "What?" Like we thought it was something wrong, and maybe that was just her like giving us good TV. Who knows? But then this episode, something again becomes more of a villain. She got in that fight with Madame Yoko a little bit on the first episode. Now she got in a fight with Yuha, which I was still shocked Yuha was safe only because I was like that runway alone. I was like, burn the outfit, but burn her in it. Like she can come out of the outfit once it started to burn, like, but she needs to feel the
Yeah,
pain. Like, someone needs to light a fire under her ass, but like, truly light the fire under her ass because like this runway will not be acceptable ever
but
again.
same thing though too. Like Ivory, like did really bad in the challenge, really
Ivory
bad.
has never been a strong performer. They literally delayed the lip sync after she fainted, and she still came back for the lip sync the next day and lost super hard. So, I mean, look, Uh, I think Ivory has a lot of youthfulness, a lot of energy. It's just I don't think she knows who she is or her brand just yet. And I get that she wants this opportunity. And you know what? It's one of those don't say no because you may never get the call again. And so I don't blame her for taking it. I feel like she has not really focused in. And so I would have sent home Ivory, but again, bias for something long. So like, but I knew something long wasn't going to last. I think I might even have said that something long only makes it to like episode 2 or 3. So, but that's, it's fine. Ivory's probably gone soon. Kitty's face is probably gone soon. Yua's probably gone soon. Like that feels like the next 4 girls. Like we're just gonna
Yeah,
I don't know if we're
it's
gonna get a Philippine queen in the bottom, maybe on this design challenge, but sending them home, I hope not.
I can't imagine. Well, I can't imagine one being in the bottom until at least like you said, Kitty, Yuhua, Ivory.
Ivory. Well,
Yeah,
someone has to be at the bottom with the last girl that's left. Like, you know.
true. Well, CM or Suki, they could find a reason to throw one of those two in the bottom. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, I don't. It feels like it's literally just gonna be CM and Suki well, I was gonna say versus the world, but they are the world. CM and Suki versus the Philippines.
It is feeling very that way. And it comes to this idea, how are the other girls gonna play it when they get the top spots? Are we gonna see any of the international girls ever snatch a top spot? And if they do, will they immediately go for a Filipina queen if she's in the bottom just because they're trying to represent international? Because they have been playing up this fight kind of thing between them. And I don't know. I don't want someone to just go home because they want to get rid of someone, who's not who's not international. So we'll have to wait and see. I hope I'm really hoping we don't have like a random Manila moment unless like there's some shady shit that went down, like when Manila picked Monet to go home and Monet was like, yeah, and I had her lip sync too, bitch. Like, oh, unless we're gonna have one of those moments, please don't do it. Like,
Yeah, I I don't know where we're going in the future here, but we haven't really had very much story outside of Arizona and Kiana. So, it feels a little awkward, but you never know. Like maybe next week, maybe that's the week. Because again, we do have a design challenge coming up, and we do have some design girlies. I'd say at least out of the international girlies, like Miss Suki Doll. So maybe this is Suki's week to sign here. Because they are gonna have, um, I believe, different materials. That's not just designing materials. I believe was it cacao leaves, fossilized cacao leaves to be
yes,
exact. So like who knows? Because like working with like weird materials, that's already like a weird thing to begin with, right? And now you're throwing in the design aspect on top of it. Anybody really? Well, I don't say anybody. I feel like there's probably a few international girlies I'm kind of looking at. Kitty, Ivory, probably, but who knows? Like maybe a Brigadine, maybe. somebody else makes a risk and it doesn't pull out or work out for them. Like, who knows? Who knows?
I
Who
mean, we have
knows?
seen Yuha has done well in design challenges, Suki's done well in design challenges, and we've seen girls who have literally done well in design challenge and also went home in a design challenge. And um, could we see that again? Could we see the girl have that slip up again? I don't know. Probably not. But it's always something that could happen. So hopefully we will
Mhm.
see some great designs because I love a runway. It's my favorite thing.
Well, Jack, I do have to ask you because I think now is probably a good time to kind of wrap it up here. But I want to make sure you get your question from the audience here. So, what is your question this week?
My question this week is which girl had the best verse in the P Nice group for you? And which girl was the biggest flop in the Slay Mix group for you? And I specifically say that because we're not gonna let you say that the Slay Mix group was good and the P Nice group was bad. Like, if you have that opinion, baby, come on now. You shouldn't be judging nobody.
Ooh, well, as always, I can't wait to see how this turns out. And hopefully, y'all can't either, especially if you made it this far. Thanks again so much for listening. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and make sure you comment below with our question of the week because we'd love to discuss the episode with y'all. But until next time, and on behalf of my co caster, QuackrrJack, this is Renegayde signing out. But remember, keep spilling that tea, y'all. Bye.
Bye.